Well, oh gee whiz, I'm hoping it's working. Andy, g'day, how are you? Let me just see. Do we have sound? Please tell me I've got sound this time. I will be absolutely wrapped. And if we have, we're in for a good day, I hope. Oh dear. Trying things I haven't tried before. This is a stream that I should have done 2 weeks ago, but the difficulties I've had with software and hardware, I don't know, for 5 years, everything's, or maybe longer, maybe 8 years, everything has been going so well, and then the other day I tried to do a stream and boom, lost the lot. Can hear you, yay! Beauty! Okay, I'm Steve Hay. Welcome to the wonderful world of woodworking with Carbatec, and what I'm going to do today is a live stream, but it's a pre-recorded live stream. I did it yesterday. I tried to stream it yesterday, but again, I was still having gremlins in the works, so I couldn't. So I thought, doesn't matter. I'll just film it as if I'm doing a live stream, and then I'll live stream it down in this workshop, and we should be good to go. I'm hoping at last, yes mate, I'm with you, at last. I'm hoping it'll all go well. So the stream, the only thing I did with this stream you're about to see is I did put some transitions in, but it is the stream complete in its entirety. That includes catches, me spelling things, a bit of drama that happened, and anything went wrong is still in the stream. I'm going to be in the chat. I've just realised I'm going to have to put another camera in somewhere, which I'll try and do that in a second. So I will be here, and I believe now I can actually pause the stream that I'm playing. So if there's any questions, I can come in live and answer your questions. So without any more messing around, fingers crossed, let's hope it all works. I hope you enjoy this. It's, as I said in the description, it's making a dragon's egg, and I don't even know if I brought it down here. I had it with me. Wait a minute, it might be in the other shed. Hang on. Wait then. Oh, there it is. I did too. This is it here. Wrong camera. Try that one. There you go. No? What's that looking at? Wait a minute. That's looking at that camera. They're frozen on me. Let me just re-inertialise those ones. Side view, there's that one. And no, that's dead. All right, let me just see if I can get it happening. Well, at least we've got this. G'day, Wesley! Hello, mate. Let me just see if I can get this one going. Doesn't want to play. Well, it's not important really for the stream. It was just I was going to show you something. Just let me have a look under here to see if I've pulled anything out that shouldn't be pulled out. Oh, no. That's there, that's there, that's there. No, I don't know. But I'm not concerned about that, because at least I've got sound, and that's the main thing for me. What was that? If I go that way. Okay, let's see if we can just reactivate this one. Is that gonna? No. Doesn't matter. I'll come up to the main screen and the main camera, and I'll show you. Yeah, that's just going to autofocus. There you go. That's what we actually end up with, and I'm going to take you through step by step how to make it. What I do, there's a little bit of poetic license in there, only as much as I'll show you how to make the inside, then we'll actually pour it, then I put it in a pressure pot. Then I take one out of the pressure pot, and then I actually turn this one. So you see all the steps, but if I'd waited to do it with the same one all the way through. It would have taken about 3 or 4 days. So you'll get all the steps. Any questions? Ask away. Yeah, love tech. Hey, Wes. Wonderful. I have trouble with a letter opener and a knife. So anyway, let's go. So if you've got any questions, ask, and I should be able to, I'm just going to do a test thing here to see if I can. I'll go to the stream, and then I'll come back, and then hopefully the stream should pick up. So bear with me on that. Now, previously, on another stream, I said I was mixing by volume, and that worked quite well. And then I discovered, okay, did that work all right? Did that have sound and everything? Because what I've actually got to do now is go back in and take you from the beginning. I've got the wrong mouse there. Boom, boom, boom. Bob's going off at something. So was that working? Anyone? Anyone? Yes! Oh, beautiful. All right. What I've got to do is I'm just going to change a couple of things here. So what I want is that. I'll take that one. Let me just get rid of that stick. Speaking of contaminating. So you can see me and I can move myself around. I might actually go there. Make myself a little bit smaller. Right. And this one, I've got the cup. I'm going to take it. I've got a pair of digital scales from the start that you can zero. So now, if I go back, it should go from the beginning. And on there. And I'll do that. And do that. And do that. And do that. Oh, look at that. We're good to go. All right, everything's happening. I'm happy. I'll just see what Bob... No, Bob can sort it. He's going out off, isn't he? Wait a minute. Let me just see what Bob's doing. What are you doing, Bob? Bob! Oh, that's all right. He's just having a bark. At another dog, so it's all good. All right, let's get into it. Craftsman Studio, hi, how are you? I just explained what's happening. I've got a stream that I did yesterday. It's a complete stream of making the dragon's egg from woe to go. So from getting the timber, from doing the pouring, to gluing it up, to the whole lot. And I'm here live. G'day, Randall, how are you, mate? I'm here live, and if you've got any questions, I can stop the stream, come in live, answer the questions, and we can continue on. So here we go. Here's how to make a dragon's egg. As I said in the description, there's a lot of people that are doing them, but it is not the entire thing. They leave bits out, and there's also little traps you can fall into. Hopefully I'll cover them. So here we go. It's Angry, new name. Mate, how are you, mate? Good to have you, Daryl. Dear, oh dear. All these people have changed names on me. Welcome to the stream, and welcome to the wonderful world of woodworking with Carbatec. So here we go. Stream dragon's egg, making one. If you've got a compressor or a wire brush, you can get the same results. All you want to do is get any of the loose bark or dirt. There we go. Just a bit of hiccup there, but I think it's all good now. G'day, I'm Steve Hay. This is Wonderful World of Woodworking for Carbatec. And this is a pre-recorded stream, but I'm live in the corner, and so I'll be attending the chat. Just had some issues trying to get the cameras to work in this particular workshop. Don't know what they were, but anyway, I thought this was the best option. What I want to do is make a dragon's egg, resin dragon's egg from scratch, to show you all the steps and what's involved. This is one that I did the base for, the last stream that we did, and it came up very, very nicely. So I'll show you how to put it together, how to make the inside, how to mix the resin, and then what I have found to be the most effective way of turning resin. Because believe me, I've had some disasters along the way, but it's all a learning curve, and I'm happy to pass my knowledge on to you. So first of all, what you need is a cup or a container of some sort that you want to actually put your egg in, or the base for your egg, before you can start. I'm just using a medium sized glass that you get from the picnic part of the supermarket. And that, I find, ends up to be quite a nice size, and you're not using too much resin either. The next thing is get a piece of timber, or in this case, I've got a really nice piece of buckeye burl that, yes, I have shaped it and I've sanded. I actually sandblasted this, but if you've got a compressor or a wire brush, you can get the same results. All you want to do is get any of the loose bark or dirt or grit that's on there off, because what will happen if it's loose, when you put it in the resin and the resin's curing, it'll actually float away, and then you'll get blemishes and bits of debris in your cast. So first of all, doesn't have to be burl either. I've done some with really pretty bits of timber. It just happens that I had a bit of burl around, so that's what I'm using. But clean it first, and then you've got to shape it so it fits nicely into the container you're going to use, just like that. And these, obviously, beakers being tapered, you're going to have to sand a taper on it. If you're using a straight cylinder, you don't have to worry about the taper. And then what I do is I'll glue it on the bottom. But we'll get to that shortly. First of all, in order to get a nice colour on your inside of your dragon's egg, it's best, I find, to paint the piece of timber with a matte black, just an ordinary acrylic. That's just one I picked up from, I think it was a big box warehouse, and they're about $2, $2.50 a tube, nothing flash whatsoever. And if you noticed, I've also lost the top to that, but we'll paint this so it's black, and then I'll dry it with a heat gun, and then we can put a coat of resin colour on the top before we do the casting. So here goes. Get a little container, paintbrush, bit of water, and squeeze some of the paint into the container. You don't really need very much. That's more than enough. I'll find that top one of these days. I give it a couple of squirts of water, just so it thins it out a bit, and then just paint it all black. If you don't, what happens, the colour doesn't have the intensity that it does on the black. It sort of mutes it a little bit, but doesn't matter, try it either which way. See which way works for you. This is going to be the whole process. I will do a shortened version, which we'll put up as a standalone video, but I thought it'd be really nice if we can to do a stream in real time. So two things. One, you get to appreciate actually what goes into making one of these, and actually how long it takes. I do fast forward a bit because I've got one in the pressure pot that I cast earlier, but I'll show you what to do with that. And Then we'll go to the lathe and actually turn when you can see all these little pockets in here. It's not detrimental if you miss them, but it's good if you can get them all. There we go. Now I don't paint the base, and the reason I don't do that is because I'm going to glue that to the bottom of the container that I'm using, and if I put paint on it, I've had this happen before, when it goes in the pressure pot. And look, pressure pots aren't mandatory. You can make these without a pressure pot, but if you've got the use of one, I do recommend it because it does make sure you don't get any bubbles. Although I've done these without putting them in the pressure pot and they work just fine. Just remember to cover them up when you leave them so you don't get any. Have I got some around here? Yeah, I'll show you why it's important to cover them up, because if not, you get mosquitoes landing in them or flies, and they tend to ruin your job. We're nearly finished. These paint brushes too, nothing special about those. I think they cost me about 4 cents each or something or other. I buy them in bulk, 60 at a time, because with the acrylic it's okay. You can get more uses out of it, but sometimes with the resin, if you use it, you only get one usage, and if you're paying, $6 a paintbrush, that's money you could spend on something else as far as I'm concerned. All right. There we go. As you can see, it's now all black except for the base. And you can leave that dry and it'll take a little while. Or you can do what I'm going to do and just put a heat gun over it. You can get these little containers, you can get tops for them too. You just put that over, it keeps the paint dry for a little while so you can use it again if you've got some left. That's all I'm going to do with this. You could leave it out in the sun, you could leave it and go and have a coffee. I'm just going to put the heat gun on it. It doesn't take very much. Careful not to burn your fingers. That's another reason I don't add too much water, because then it doesn't take as long to dry. We're nearly there. If you're using a burl or something like that, yeah, you do run the risk of splitting the timber, but quite frankly it doesn't matter. And just for those who don't know, on the tips of my fingers, yes, it's getting very warm. We're nearly there. Ha-ha! Okay, so that's what you've got. A burl that's all nice and black. Next off, go to your colours and see what you like. I quite like that. That with a bit of greeny blue. I think those two colours. Those two colours I like. So those two colours are what I'm going to paint the burl with. Now I've got, this is just wax paper. I will put a bit of water in there just so I can save this brush. Give it a bit of a clean there. That'll be good. And what you can use resin to paint this, but what I've found is if you use a UV glue. It's very, very handy, and the thing I like about it, it doesn't go off until you actually put a light onto it, a UV light. So I've got a couple, these are torches, and I've got another one that I use in another setup. But all you do, you don't need very much of it either. Just squirt a little bit in there. As you can see, I haven't used much. And then get your colours. I like paddle pop sticks too. I buy those bulk, and just put a little bit in there and stir it up like that. Now it remains pretty fluidy until you put a UV light on it. I've got a new paintbrush, and I'm just going to paint this. You can put several coats of paint on if you like, which I will. I'll dry this one, and then I'll put a bit of that green on, and I don't know, I'm just looking, I might put a bit of purple on there as well. But it really makes the blue stand out, like a midnight blue. Pretty special. I should be wearing gloves, but I forgot. But when I start working with the resin, I definitely will have gloves on. I wear glasses as well, but it'd be an idea if you had safety glasses on, because this can be a bit nasty if it splashes in your eye. See if you can get down where these little, if you're using a bell, where the little bubbles are, see if you can actually put some of the colour into that. Because if not, when you put your resin in, there's air pockets in there, and you do get bubbles rising to the surface, which again, if you've got a pressure pot, it's not really an issue. But if you're not using a pressure pot, and I've had it where they've risen to the top while the resin is curing, and they get trapped in the egg, which, you know, sometimes that's a feature and it doesn't matter. But sometimes you don't particularly want bubbles in there. How's that looking? That's looking pretty all right. I think we'll just about get that done, which is good. Well, a little bit on the top here I haven't done yet. Okay, what I'm going to do with this one, I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of copper over it, I think. Or bronze, just a little bit. Yeah, the other reason I've got that cloth down is because I've done it before without it, and it just stains my bench, so a little bit of paper there is good. Okay, As you can tell, you only use the slightest amount. And to clean your brush, just use some acetone and it cleans your brush out. I'm going to put a different colour on there, so I'm not too fussed about that at the moment. A word of caution, when you put your UV light on, make sure you haven't got any glue around, whether it be your brush or the glue itself, because it will send it off. Now all I'm doing here, this is setting the glue, and it doesn't take very long at all. Don't get it on your hands and do it because it's extremely hot and not very pleasant. It's marvellous stuff. The back of, I've got an MX5 in the back of the soft top, the window, after a while they get brittle and they break. This stuff's great. You just put it on there, put the light on there and fixes it. Doesn't make it any clearer, but it stops the rain from getting in. Okay, so that, I think, that is just about done, all right? That's now dry to touch. What I'm going to do now is just a little bit more, and I'm going to put a little bit of green on there, I think, just a little bit. Not very much at all. There we go. It's got a little bit of copper on it from the time before as well. And the stuff I'm using is called eye candy. Mix it up and get your brush. Doesn't matter that it's got blue on it because it's all going to go together anyway. A little bit of that. And I'm just going to put maybe just a couple of dobs on it, nothing artistic or anything, just putting a couple of splodges to give it a little bit of break up. Okay, and that's it. That I will now throw away, but before I do, I'll clean the brush out. A little bit of, as I said before, acetone. If you do get resin on your fingers or whatever and you're not wearing gloves, that's the stuff to get it off. But if you've got any cuts, it'll let you know in a hurry you got cuts, I tell you. It burns a bit. Okay, so that's cleaned the brush up reasonably well. This I'll just go and put in the bin. Well, I need to put that in the bin. Yes, I will. All right, now we'll just set that green paint off. These are really great fun. Once you start, you sort of get addicted to doing them. They're just so much fun. Yeah, pick your timber too. This is Buckeye Burl. This piece here is yellow box, an Australian desert or semi-arid timber. Very, very hard. And yeah, you've got to have sharp tools or you get into all sorts of trouble. But this Buckeye Burl is lovely. It's softer than the resin, so you don't have any issues with it at all. You can have fun too. There's, what are they called? Fluorescent tints you can get to put in the resin. So when you're looking at something, it doesn't look all that spectacular, and then all of a sudden you put the light on it, and it looks really, really great. Okay, so I think that's a little bit tacky on the back still. leave that there while I'm just looking for something else. No, I don't think it's there. I thought I had something else to show, but no. This one here, this is just, oh, that's the fluorescent green. But when you put the light to it, there's going to be extraordinary when that one gets turned. It's actually under that green there, there's purple, and then there's coffee beans, and this is just leftovers from pours that I've done. So I put them in a big container. There's another one, there's a couple here that I'm doing. These are going to be canisters. I've just got to cut those. That's walnut shell and pearlescence. And what I'm going to do is cut the tops off those. Hopefully I'd love to put a screw thread in there and turn them into canisters. And that one's a cicada shell that I found. And I think it just looks pretty amazing. Space bug, that's what I'm calling that one. Space bug. Okie dokie. Well, that should be cooked by now. Yep. So get your cup. What I do is you just put, you can either put it on the bottom, put it on the bottom of your bit you're going to be working on. Put the top on. Get the cup, put it over the top and put it down so it clearly is on the bottom. You can see the glue there. And just touch of a UV for a little while. And that glue will cure. And there you go, it's stuck, it's not going to come out. Oh. So now we've got to mix up the resin to put in there. I'll just move this stuff away because I don't need it at the moment. And I have found, for those that know me, I'm not the tidiest person around the workshop by any means, but I have found it is most advantageous to be at least a bit organised when you're doing these pours. Now previously on another stream I said I was mixing by volume and that worked quite well. And then I discovered on the Carbatec website actually with resins that there's a formula that you can do so you can actually do it by weight. And for me, I must admit, I think it's easier than by volume because I can be far more accurate with what I need. Let's just get my calculator here. The formula is times whatever weight you have initially by 0.43, and that will give you the amount of hardener that you need. So, let's see, we're doing that one there, so we can grab one of those cups. It's important you use a clean cup when you're pouring resin. If not, you can contaminate it. Let me just get rid of that stick. Speaking of contaminating. Right. So I've got the cup. I've got a pair of digital scales that you can zero. And the resin I'm using is Perfect Cast, rigid casting. I said before I've had issues turning it, and it's true, I had. I think I prefer turning deep cast, which is this product, whoops, down here. That's for deep casting. Although it's not designed for river tables, I think it turns nicer. But anyway, I have had more success with turning this after a few goes, and when we get over to the lathe, I'll let you into a couple of the tricks that I've learnt when I'm turning it that makes it much easier to turn and much nicer to turn than what was happening before. Okay, first things, we'll do the resin, plonk that on the scales. Zero it, and I know I'm going to need about that much resin, so I'm going to guesstimate 2/3, and we'll see what weight it is. Okay, it's 136 grams. So to find out how much hardener I need, I'll go 136 times 0.43. That gives me 58.48. So 58.48. So I tare weight that, bring it back to 0. And then with the hardener, I just pour in until I get 58 grams in there, 58 or 59 grams. Pour it in slowly. Two things, when you don't get bubbles, as secondly, you can be more accurate. Okay, I'm just a couple of grams over on that, but it's close enough. I'll put this out of the way. Now to stir it, I've made up these little stirrers that fit into my drill, and I'll do a video shortly of how I made them, and they work just fine. They really, really do. This is the stage I'm actually going to go and put gloves on. Whoops! Just got these disposable gloves from the hardware shop. When you get them, make sure you get a size that fits. I've got big hands, so I've got XL, and I was finding the L's kept on breaking, which wasn't very nice at all. All right. Now, don't have it flat out like that, obviously. Hold the cup. And I'm going to do this for about 2 minutes. It says 4 minutes. It says 4 minutes on the directions, but I think if that's by hand, I've been doing this for 2 minutes for quite a while and have not had a drama. And I've just got to scratch my nose. It's not part of the tutorial, it's just part of life. So I'm going anti-clockwise, the beater's going clockwise. I can change it so the beater goes anti-clockwise, then I'll turn it clockwise. I don't know if it's because I'm left-handed or whatever, but I prefer going the other way. And with this I can get right down to the bottom and start mixing anything that's down there. Don't have it too fast, because if you have it too fast you can create bubbles. Which again, if you've got a pressure pot, it doesn't seem to be as big an issue than if you don't. Just be careful not to spray yourself. I'm going to have to make a bench that's smaller so I can sit down and do this. Now that's about 2 minutes, but I did stop to scratch my nose, so I'll go an extra 15 seconds just to make sure. But I'm sure it will be fine. It's had a really good mix. The thing I've noticed when I've made these stirrers, you have to make them long enough that you don't get resin that goes up the shaft. Because previously I've done that and the resin stuck to the drill chuck and I couldn't get it out. Okay, that'll do it. Now just... There you go. Let's put that out of the way so it's not in the road. And bubbles will come to the surface of this, which, if you're going to use the pressure pot, isn't a big deal. The pressure pot doesn't get rid of bubbles. What it actually does is compresses the bubbles so you don't see them. And that's why you should leave it in there for at least 4 or 5 hours. I did one the other day and I thought, oh, I should be right. After a couple of hours, and I took it out and it looked great, and within about 30 seconds, all these bubbles started to appear. And then when I put it back in, it had gone past that point in curing where they could be compressed. So you see, being impatient gives you lots of lessons to learn. All right, so I'll take you over to, we'll use this one. Okay, so I'll take you over to the pressure pot. Okay, and this is a pressure pot I use. And it's at 50 psi. This was pressurised last night. It's a standard cheap paint pressure pot. You do have to do some modifications to it before you can use it. One of the things that I've done is I have an extra connector there that's blanked off. So when I disconnect the main feed, it seals it. And also having a good locking mechanism at the back is good. You can get these. This is the one I had originally. It's a small one, and I found this a little ball cock, and I found it leaked. Whereas going to this larger arrangement, it wasn't that much dearer. It's fine. So take the pressure out. And once the pressure's gone, undo the lid. Remove the top. And there I have 2 that were done the other day. So, what to do with these? Well, I'll show you that in a minute. Now we're just going to pour this in. This has got some bubbles. It's starting to heat up a bit. So I'm just going to wave a heat gun over it. And the bubbles just disappear. Gone. See that? And gently pour this over what we're doing, and the slower you pour it, the less chance you're going to have of getting bubbles. And that's it. Throw that away. If you were going to do another pour, you could keep that container and do another pour, but we're not, so it's okay. So if you look at that now, well, that's going to make a beautiful egg. Got a couple of little bubbles on the top, which really don't matter, but if you can get them off, it's much nicer. And it's looking pretty clear. You can see a bubble coming up there. So we'll just hit that with the heat gun. And this is where, as I said before, if you don't fill up those little nodes or nodules in the burl itself, you're going to get air escaping from there a lot. Which, if you're using a pressure pot, isn't a problem. If you're going to do it by air, then it's best to get them out if you can. You can just see them popping up. And they're just coming up because of pockets in the burl. And I just spilt it on my hand. That's why you wear gloves. All right, let's go and put this into the pressure pot. What I've done to mine is I've got a flat ice cream container on the bottom of a bucket, which I've slipped in there, which then allows me to pull it out and clean it if I have to. And it's also got a flat bottom, whereas if you look in there, it's got a rounded bottom. And sometimes it's hard to have things to sit flat with a rounded bottom. And gently put it in. Make sure when you put your top on that your rubber seal is sealed all the way around and it hasn't come away from the edge. If it does, that's when it'll lose pressure. Pop it on there. Tighten up the clamps. I do them opposite each other and in turn, so I don't just flatten one down hard. I'll do these two a little bit, then these two, and then back to these two, so they're even. Airline. I'll have the stopcock off. Put the airline on. Then open up the drain cock. Not hard, slowly, because all that air is going to rush in and it can knock your job over if you let it go in too hard. I'll bring that up to between 40 and 50 psi. See what it wants to do. That's going to be close enough, that's 48. For the purpose of filming, that will do. So now, I shut it off, remove the air, put my blower back on, and that blanked off one, I just put over there as a protection. Now, I'll leave that for, I don't know, maybe till 6 o'clock tonight or maybe till tomorrow, it doesn't matter. I'll just clean up the rest of this. You can clean this up with acetone as well, or I've found even if I just leave it on there, it doesn't really prove detrimental. It still stirs quite well. So now we've done that, we're all finished. I'll take these gloves off. Your hands feel as if the resin's on there because it's all horrible and slimy and yuck. But when you take the gloves off, they have been totally protected. Just put those in the bin. The next thing to do is cut this one out of the mould. They come away pretty easily. And that's what we have in that one. That's going to look quite pretty. Next step is to glue a block on the back. For that, you're going to have to flatten this area off here, which I'll just go and do now. I did that on a disc sander, but you could use a drum sander, you could use a file, whatever you like. The only reason we want that is so when we put a block on there, it's nice and flat and it'll hold firm when we put it in the lathe. I use just 2-part epoxy. Whoops. Mix it up fairly well. And then don't be too scungy with it. I like putting it on both surfaces to give me a really good even coat. What I try and do with these blocks is get one that will fit in between the jaws of the chuck on my lathe. So that's it, then we put that on there and we'll clamp it. Here's one I clamped the other day. So that's what we end up with. This is always a good idea if you're going to put anything with epoxy in a vise. Just put a bit of paper down. Doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be grease paper. Any sort of paper. That way, if the glue drips out, it won't go in your thread of your jaws. See if you can get it as central as you can. Sometimes isn't easy. That's not too bad. So don't clamp it too hard, so you squeeze all the glue out, but clamp it so it's firm. And then this is what you end up with. And this now, we'll go over to the lathe and we'll turn the dragon's egg. Okay, I just had a cup of coffee between then, but what I've discovered is when you're turning resin, there is no point in trying to set it up to go with the dust extractor or any sort of extraction system. The reason being, when this comes off, and you'll see it, it comes off in long ribbons. It will get jammed on the impeller of the dust collector, and also if you've still got those safety guards in front of your port, it jams that up and it clogs it, and therefore is not very good. If you've got a straight vacuum cleaner, that works for a while, but again, it clogs up around the bag and it's not effective. So what I've discovered is when I'm turning resin, I just turn it and let it all fall on the floor. When I'm sanding it, then I would like to have a dust extractor or at least a mask. Now to start with, I'm going to wear just an ordinary protective mask. The reason being that I can talk to you while I'm turning and you'll be able to hear me because my microphone's there. When I actually start doing the sanding, I'm going to be using a filtered mask, but you might hear the hum of the fan inside here. So to start with, I'll just use a face shield, and then when I start doing the sanding, I'll use a proper respirator sort of setup. Okay. What else do we need? Yeah, as I said before, I try and get this size to fit in between these areas of my jaws, like that. Then we just lock it up. Another reason it's important to make sure that glue is really set, so when we start turning, it doesn't come off. In the early stages, I will move the live centre up to it, and you'll notice as we start working, this will burrow into it, which is fine. Oh, okay. To start with, I'm just going to use a roughing gouge. And for that, I'll grab rubber Sorby roughing gouge. Most of the turning I will use a skew, but I'll use it as a scraper more so than a skew, and that will become apparent down the track. That's about all I need, I think. For starters, we might use a paring tool later on. But for now, roughing gouge, scraper, skew, used as a scraper. And as always, when you start off, make sure it's free. I'm going to start off at 600 RPM and just see what that's like. It should be pretty good, actually. Yeah, it's got a little bit of a wobble. I'll bring it up. Okay, I'm at 800 now and the lathe's starting to vibrate a bit. So, that's what I'll use. I just want to even this up a bit. As I said before, the live centre will go deeper and deeper. Turn that off and check my tension, I think. I thought that was... That's better. There we go. And I'll start up this end. That's why you wear a face shield. I'll start to increase. My preferred speed is about 1400 RPM. It seems to give me the cleanest shavings and not much chip out. All I'm doing at the moment is trying to get rid of that cup shape, and I can see there I've already gone through the resin into the timber there, but that's fine because that's what you want. You want that contrast. Now that's becoming more balanced. I'll whack it up to 1400. I'm starting to get a cylinder. It's okay to leave this centre bit a bit fatter, but see if you can just bring it down to round. This one I'd prepared to do a stream a couple of weeks ago, and it has got a little bit harder than what I prefer. I think if you can turn it within 2 or 3 days of it first curing, it's much nicer to turn. But the longer you leave it, the harder the resin gets. But due to technical difficulties, we couldn't do those streams, so there you go. From my experience, turning resin is totally different than turning timber. So a lot of the techniques that you use turning timber, I have found, I'm not saying it's not true, but I've found they don't work very well on resin. So you have to develop another skill set, if you like, for turning this stuff. When you're just turning resin, it's lovely. That's all you get. But then when you start mixing your mediums, and you've got resin and timber, that's when it gets interesting. That Buckeye Burl, well, this is here, and what we just cast is really nice. But when you start playing around with some hardwoods, like that yellow box I've got, totally different ball game. Okay. I might just come in there. Take that back a little bit. Very careful not to hit the jaws of your chuck. Okay, now I think I'll just use the skew. I might get another scraper out later, but at the moment, this will work fine. You start to get that harmonics up, that noise, tighten your tailstock a bit, or change your speed. I'll bring it down. When I'm scraping, use it as a negative scrape. So go in, but have the handle up so you're not biting into the work. If you try and do it like a normal skew, no, it's not nice. So just short, sharp little turns, but keeping it negative. Slicing action into the base, and that's going to form the bottom of your egg. I find once you got the base, the rest of it is pretty easy. I've got a flat spot here I want to get rid of. So by getting rid of that, I'll have to go a bit smaller in the base. And there's another one there. That's all right. Remember, keep negative rake. I'm actually below centre. If you're going into the base, use the toe of the skew, because if you go in this way, you can't get right deep down into that union. And your tools have to be sharp. If not, it's not as much fun. Okay, now I'm just going to, because I've had a bit of harmonics there, I'm just going to tighten up the chuck a little bit to make sure it's tight. Off we go again. Oh, hang on. We've got those flat spots and there's a little bit more to go there. But that's it. It hasn't got far to go. And if you're just starting out in turning, learn how to use both hands. It'll save you so much grief. So now I've got it in my left hand, like that. And then when I turn around, I can have it in my right hand with just the same amount of control. What we'll do in a minute, I'll put a cut off in there. You don't have to stick with the egg shape either. You can have whatever shape you like, but seeing I said we're doing egg, I'll do this one as an egg. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So this live centre, it's gone into about there. So we've got to make sure we don't get a hole in the top of the egg. You can draw that in. And if I can now come in under there, where that line is, I'll tuck it back. Otherwise this can be the base, and then I've got to bring this in. And as I do that, I'll then adjust the centre of the egg and maybe the base of the egg. We will see. Let's see what happens. What I might do, use the parting tool to bring that down a ways. Whoops. Okay, so I know. How often have you done that? Got a mask on and you try and blow something with it. Okay, so I think that's covered the point. So what we can do now is bring the egg around. I'll change hands so you can see a bit better. So even that's quite a nice vase shape, I guess. But we're not doing a vase, we're going to do an egg. And by bringing that around, we've changed the dynamics. So now I've got to bring this shoulder down, which will also change the shape of the egg. You can use ordinary scrapers if you like, but I find using the skew I can get to use a lot of different methods with the one tool. And the good thing about calling these dragon's eggs, no one can tell you you're wrong, because no one's ever seen one. So you can say, well, that's how they look. Do that so I can see what I'm doing. 1, 2. Just making sure that's all working. And that's recording, that's good. You can see how as I point this, I have to change the body so it's in proportion. I might just move the stand a little bit closer. Oops. The more you can do with the tool, the less sanding you have to do. happy with that as a rough shape. What I'm going to do now is come down. That's got to be a bit thinner there, but I'll come down and start shaping this. Cranky tear out there. We might, I don't know. No, that's too cranky for me. Turn that up whilst I'm doing this. Okay, now back to shaping the egg. At this stage, what you could do would be, I'm going to take a bit more off that, I think. You can do a lot of the sanding whilst you still get your live centre in, which greatly reduces the risk of it breaking off from the stand. And we might do that in a tick. Yep, okay. Okay. Now comes the bit where I wear the other. Now comes the bit when I wear the other mask, because I don't want to be breathing this dust. There we go. And I'll start with 100 grit and work my way up to 400, and then I'll start going wet and dry. Oh, here we go. I bring it back to about 600. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's what I like. Okay, that's to 100 grit, and make sure you've got equal scratches all the way over. And then when you have, go up to the next grit. I'm going to 150, I think. Yep, 150. And it seems to me my mask needs to be charged. And seeing I'm on a roll, I'll use this, and I hope I can still talk underneath this. It's not ideal, I would much prefer the mask, but this will do. This is 150. And the lathe's at 800, which isn't too bad. You really want to clean out where the egg meets the stand. I might have gone a little bit too deep on the timber, but we will see, we will see. Okay, this is 180. Yeah, I might just knock that back a bit. And now 220. And when I stop this, you'll see it's not as bad at 220 as it was at 100. Because all you're doing initially, your first sanding, doesn't matter what you're doing, your first sanding is always to get it smooth. All the other sandings after that are to get rid of the sanding marks from the sandpaper before. So watch your knuckles on the jaws of the chuck, because they can wake you up. Okay, now I think I've got 240. We'll stop that and have a look. Yeah, that's not looking too bad. Now this is 240. See, we can see more definition there and those scratches are going less. Now 320. You don't have to have these same increments that I've got here, but the smaller the increments, the less time you have to spend on each paper. And 400. All right. At this stage, I go back to the skew, take the end off and finish shaping the egg. So that means I'm bringing this up. So what I might do there, I might actually polish that before I do this. All I'm going to use there is a little bit of beeswax. And we might go in here too. I'll just friction polish that. And you're using the cloth, have it in your hand like that, so if it does pull away, just pull straight out of your hand. And don't have any loose threads hanging around. Much safer. Yeah, that's looking all right. Okay, now we'll take this part off here. And to do that, I'm just going to part it off using the skew. You could use a parting tool, but sometimes that can shatter and not give you the finish you want. So that's now finished. I'll take that off, put it over there. Just going to clean this off. Again, negative rake, using it as a scraper. Got a little corner there, I just want to take that out. Don't like those harmonics because they generally leave a chatter mark. Let's see how that looks. That's pretty good, and the hole's gone from the end. So now, basically just on that end, quickly go through the papers again, just to smooth it all out. Don't have to go all the way down here, but just on that little top section. Can you see the idea behind shaping everything and polishing as much as you can while you've got that live centre in? Because then you're not putting much pressure on the job once it's done. Just lightly touching this. Little scratches there to get out. That's 220. Yeah, that's not looking too bad. Now where did I put my 240? There it is. And I'm only just holding it on there. There's very, very little pressure at all. But I'm just making sure that it's smooth and I haven't got any ridges coming along there. This is 320. Now we're up to 400, which is what we finished it with. So we can just blend it all in a little bit. And there you go. Now I'll move on to wet and dry. And I'll start with 400. And then I'll go 600, 800. I'll go up to 1,000. And then I'll go to micro pads, which I'll show you in a tick. I'll find a bit of 400, 600, and what be 400 gone. There we go. A bit of 400. Try not to get the timber at this stage because you don't want to get it wet, and that's another reason I put a wax coat on there. So if it does get wet, it's turn it down. It is protected. You can't help getting the timber that's actually in the egg wet. It's just one of those things. I might even turn that down. Okay, that's 605, 600 is nice. Again, not much pressure. Just working this slurry that I'm building up here. That's good to get into the mix. And even after your first run with 400, you'll really be impressed and amazed at what it's starting to look like. There you go. So now we'll go 600. And you don't have to spend very long on these lighter grits because the scratches you're getting off are only small. At 600, now I'm going to 800. And you can tell the number because it's written on the back of the paper. And this wet and dry, it will last forever and a day. Very tough stuff. Okay, that's 800. And I want 1,000, which is this one. And 1,000, it's going to be looking pretty nice, I think. There you go. That's at 1,000. And now we'll go 1,200. Which is that one. Now we're really starting to get a nice sheen on it. You can see the glitter, everything happening in there. This is when I go over to micro pads, if I can find them. Now they come micro mesh. They come with a little colour guide, and the pads themselves match the guide. They're on, let me put that up there first. They're actually on a foamy backing, and it's the same grip both sides. So what I do is I set them up in order that the colours are. So I don't know if we'll go quite that far, but we've got 12,000, 8,000, which I can't find at the moment. Is that 8,000 there? No, we'll go 6,000. And we got 4,000, 3,600, 3,200, 2,500, 1,500, and oh, that must be 8,000 there. Okay. So then you can, if you like, just no, that's that, that. I don't know, that's 8. Set them up in the colours that are arranged on this sheet, and then just put them at the end of your lathe. Go from 1, okay, we've done 1,500 now, 1,200, now we'll go 1,500. And I turn the lathe right down for this. Not much pressure. I turn it up a tad. Okay, that's about 470. That's 1,500. 1,800. When you get up into the over 2,000, really, there's not that much difference. This is 2,500. I do have wet and dry paper up to 2,500, which I use for French polishing, which these would be way too small for French polishing. But it just depends what sort of a finish you want, I guess. And we're up to 3,200 now. $3,600. I'll turn it off and you can have a look at this one. All right, that's 3,600. We'll go straight to 6,000. And the higher up you get, the less time you spend with each grit. This is 8,000. And this is 12,000. Which I don't think I've ever used before in my life, but there you go. Okay, let's have a look at that. That looks pretty spectacular, I reckon. So what I'm going to do now is put a little bit of polish on it. I haven't tried this before, so we'll give it a go. I'm going to put a little bit of this that I've used before. This is good stuff, Glow. This is mainly for the timber side. So I want to get that into the timber. And then I've got some acrylic polish. So we'll see how that goes. A bit of glow on there. We'll see how it looks on the plastic actually before we go any further too. Okay, try not, this is a friction polish. So you do have to put pressure, but be careful how much pressure because you haven't got anything supporting your egg. See, that looks pretty special, I think. I'll try a little bit of this acrylic polish and we'll see what it does. Well, I reckon that's pretty darn nice. Just got to get down here and clean this bit up in there, I think. Yeah, but I'll find a nice soft bit of cloth. Now we just got to part it off. This is the part where everything can come unstuck. No, it'll be good. It'll be good. And you're using a parting tool, always make sure you go 1.5 times the width of the blade. That way it won't catch. Don't think I meant to do that. That's all right. And there you have one dragon's egg all finished. Take the mask off when you blow, don't you? There you go. All finished. Well, I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. That's actually going to a friend of mine that wanted a blue one. Oh, what can I tell you? Well, it's been a long stream, and I'm pleased we got it done. Okay, I'm back. I thought I'd lost something, but I hadn't. It's all good. How come that's not there? Oh, you idiot. I changed the camera using that bottle of whatever you may call it, Tight Bond, as my guide, not realising that I'd moved the bottle of Tight. Oh, I'm here. We got sound back? Good, good. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. By the way, this is the one that you saw me actually pour. I put that, stand here, I put that in the pressure pot in that video, and that's it there. So later in the day I'll cut it out, flatten the bottom, glue a base to it, and I'll turn another one for someone else. They're getting quite popular. That was a great stream. I enjoyed it. You should see the shed. It's tidy. I've got my air conditioner working. I picked up stuff on the floor. My bench is a bit tidier. Went and got myself a cup of coffee. And I was watching it the whole time. How good that. Didn't get a prawn sanger like Trevor, but anyway. Life, not life without a lathe. What was bandsaw next? Then we'll say, no, yeah, if you're going to have a lathe, you've got to have a bandsaw first. I agree with that. Right, geez, see you, Trev. All the mate, you get fed, and then you get taken out as well. What a good wife you have. I was going to say life, but poor old Liz copped such a hard time. I thought I'd be on her side for once. But anyway, it's good to have you there, mate. As I said, that was recorded yesterday. I should have had a competition. I'll answer that in a minute, Andy. I should have had a competition and had a prize for the number of old man noises I made. When I stuck it through the editing program last night, am I really that old? Oh, every time I turn around, there was a But anyway, we got there. What do we got? Andy, how long should you leave it to set without a pressure pot? Until it gets hard, mate. Look, this stuff, it doesn't cure any quicker in a pressure pot. It still cures in the same amount of time. But what it does do, as I said, it compresses any bubbles that are there. I generally, I would do a pour just before I close the shed up for the night. Remember to cover your resin though, because you saw those mosquitoes. Yeah, cover your resin up. And when you come in the morning, she should be apples. Now, as I think I mentioned too in that stream, I just noticed my voice goes up a couple of octaves and I talk a bit louder when I'm live because I'm excited. Yeah, what you've got to think about is when it's cured, as I think I said, within the first couple of days, it's great to turn. When you leave it for a bit, it gets a lot harder. And in fact, that one there, to be honest, I think that'd have to be a week that's cured, maybe a little bit longer. And when I got that big chunk out of it, Max, did you enjoy that? It was really funny when it happened. I didn't even flinch. I was impressed. It just blew on. I went, yeah, whatever. Keep going. Don't care. Yeah, when I've turned stuff that's only a couple of days old, I haven't had big pieces fly off like that. That's not to say you won't get it, but in my experience, I haven't. And initially, the last stream when I was talking about resin and I'd had some problems turning, a lot of that was down to the use of the tool. I was using the skew the way I would on a piece of timber, on an angle, on the fence, and going at an askew angle. And also, it was a lot older resin. So the newer the resin, the softer it is. And if you use the skew as a negative scraper, you don't have those issues. I did have a couple of hiccups there, I guess you noticed when I was turning the stand, but I wanted to be truthful and faithful and put everything that was in that stream in so you could see exactly what goes into making one of these. Actually, I've got one here. I haven't got a comparison. Oh, yes, I have, I suppose. Oh, no. This one I actually did. Is it going to focus in? Focus, Danielson. Who's watching Cobra Kai? No, I'm just not getting that. Should be an automatic focus on this. But it's not, is it? No, it's not coming through. But that one I didn't paint. There you go. I didn't paint that one black. And the colour is a lot more insipid, if you like, or lighter. It doesn't have the oomph. Whereas this one, that actually had the black background, I think the colours come through a lot nicer and a lot stronger. So that's just something to think about, to play with. Oh dear. Hey Steve, give me daughter Sky a shout out that she loves it. Hey Sky, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Oh, now you're running around the room, aren't you? Now settle down. Go and give Wes a big hug from me too. So good to have you, Sky, and thanks so much for watching. It's nice to see younger people seeing what older people do. Max. Thanks, mate. Yeah, no, it was fun. It was fun. I don't need that anymore, do I? I do prefer, that's what goes, I was walking around, I've got a hole there and I'm thinking, what belongs there? And then that belongs there. So it can stay there and I'll turn those around. So there you go. Yeah, the next stream will be actually a native bee box, which I've shown you on my channel, but I'm going to do one here on the Carbatec channel. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button for Carbatec. Get the numbers up, which would be really, really great. And If you need anything woodworking-wise and you're in Australia, check them out online. What is it? Carbatec.com.au. Sorry, Ethel. Carbatec.com.au. There you go. And yes, I thank them very much for giving me the privilege of, or allowing me the privilege of doing these streams. It's really great. I love doing my own platform, which of course is Woodworking Masterclass, but it's really nice to reach out to other people and share ideas with them. Earlier, I think Steel and Wood said, could I do a video on how to convert a pressure pot? And we most definitely will look into that and might be able to do it, because there are a few things you have to do. You can, that one, if you're in Australia, I bought that from, microphone lead coming down. I got that from Super Cheap Auto. In America, I believe they come from, oh, it's slipped my mind now. Harbour? Is there a company called Harbour? Something like that. But yeah, you just have to block some holes off and put some pipes in. But we can do that. What else we got? Go to sleep, Andy, for goodness sake. But I'm pleased we finally got there. I'm really happy about that. Okay. Go and eat some dragon eggs. Go on your Wes. So anyway, that's it. So this is Steve saying, I hope you enjoyed it. If you do have any ideas or you'd like to see things done, by all means message me or leave something in the message in the comments below, or contact Carbatec and said you saw a stream and you'd like something done along those lines, and I will, or we will, endeavour to fulfil your wishes. So that's about it. I'm thinking my air conditioner works well too. I took the time to clean all the filters, and oh, it's very pleasant at the moment because it's quite hot here in Brisbane where I live. So that's it. So this is Steve saying thank you very much for your patronage, your patience, your understanding and your interest, and I look forward to having you once more on the wonderful world of woodworking with Carbatec, where we will do some more woodworking and creative things. So whatever you're doing, I hope it's creative. I hope you enjoy it. Stay safe. Look after yourself. Be kind to each other. And I will see you very, very soon. Don't forget, subscribe button. Thanks. Bye for now.